They say the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But what happens when my enemy is my friend by choice? We're told to believe in the virtues of cooperation, of lending a hand, of helping others, even when those others might one day compete with us. But what if I told you that most acts of strategic kindness are not a sign of goodness, but the most refined weapon in the war for power? Welcome to the Hidden Perspective. Let's start here. Imagine you're on a chessboard, not as a piece, but as the hidden player hovering above, plotting moves not just for victory, but for survival. You see someone across the board gaining ground, threatening your dominance. It's tempting to crush them, to cut off oxygen to your rival, stop them before they become a real threat. But what if, instead, you slid them a tool, a tactic, a lifeline, a clue? What if you helped them, seemingly selflessly, while everyone else watched in disbelief? You might look like a hero, but under the surface, power is playing a slower, deeper game. Because you know that helping your rival doesn't just win gratitude. It binds, it distorts, it secretly strengthens your own position in ways competition never could. Helping isn't virtue. It's psychological jiu-jitsu. The hidden problem is this: we don't just compete to win. We compete to define the rules, to be seen as above the fray, to write our own legends. And sometimes, the most dangerous competitors aren't the ones sharpening their knives. They're the ones quietly sharpening your image of them as allies. The ones who play two games at once. Benevolence on the surface, self-interest lurking underneath. Why do we fall into this trap? Because it feels noble. Helping a rival calms our guilt about ambition. It makes us feel magnanimous, even essential. Onlookers call it sportsmanship, or community spirit, or leadership. But layer by layer, what you're really doing is controlling the battlefield. You set the terms of engagement. You decide who owes whom. You mask your ambition with a smile. In the business world, this kind of tactical collaboration is everywhere. A powerful executive shares insider advice with a competitor, not out of generosity, but because it locks them into a shared dance, a mutual dependence masking mutual suspicion. In politics, rival parties shake hands in public, carefully selecting the battles that make them both look noble while hiding the ones that would expose their real agenda. And in the realm of personal relationships, the manipulation goes deeper. You help the friend who threatens your status because their gratitude is a leash. Their improvement is on your terms. They become, subtly, the beneficiary of your largesse, not your rival in their own right. If they ever surpass you, you can always say, "Remember who got you there." We parade our benevolence, but beneath it lurks discomfort. The discomfort of knowing that every favor granted in the game of rivals carries a price. That the scoreboard is never really erased, just rewritten. That surrendering a little control is sometimes the greatest act of control itself. What does this dance reveal about human nature? It shows our relentless, shape-shifting need for power and security. We want to win, yes, but we want to be seen as virtuous while we do it. We want to dominate, but without admitting to ourselves that domination is our goal. So we invent the story. I help my competitors because we're all in this together. A lie we tell ourselves to soften the sharpness of our ambition. Yet, ambition never truly softens. It simply wears a mask. We crave connection, but on our terms. We build alliances, not just to survive, but to orchestrate a landscape where others' gratitude is a cushion, a soft web keeping them close, and just a little bit weaker. We posture as altruists, but tremble with secret relief when our rivals need our guidance, when their progress is tied to ours. We are addicted to the illusion of generosity precisely because it disguises the risk that we are not, in fact, untouchable. Now comes the uglier truth, the real discomfort. What few admit, even to ourselves, is that cooperation can be the sharpest form of control. If you keep your rivals close, dependent, or indebted, you're less likely to be blindsided by their attack. You write yourself into their story as their benefactor, not their victim. Their success, in a perverse way, becomes an extension of your influence. Muted, predictable, manageable. This move is as old as human civilization. Monarchs would sponsor rebellious noblemen, not to empower them, but to keep them visible, safe in the knowledge that a watched enemy is a tamed enemy. In corporate boardrooms, mentorship programs sometimes serve more as surveillance nets than as ladders. The simulated generosity masks a calculated need. Keep your threat where you can see it. Stretch out your hand, but only far enough that you never lose your grip on their future. Of course, the surface-level story is comforting. We're told we live in a meritocracy, a world where hard work and talent float to the top. But in reality, Relationships are built on a network of mutual obligations. Even our kindness is a currency, traded for status, for future favors, for psychological reassurance that we are good. But goodness fades fast under the harsh light of self-preservation. Let's look deeper still. When we help our rivals, we disguise our motives. But in the process, we also heighten our fear. Because the more you tie your fate to someone else's, the more you risk losing control. The more you manipulate the narrative, the more exhausting it becomes to maintain the fiction. You see, the act of strategic generosity erodes your own sense of authenticity. If you're always angling, always calculating, you slowly lose sight of whether you ever mean it. You practice kindness, but your kindness is hollowed out by suspicion. The shadow grows. The game never ends. And perhaps this is the deepest discomfort of all. On some level, we sense that for every move we play with calculated benevolence, someone else is watching, learning, preparing their countermove. The chain of manipulation snakes ever on, no one immune, everyone participant. The illusion of control becomes paranoia. The knowledge that the person you help may one day use your own favor as the leverage that undoes you. So we return to the beginning. Why do we help our rivals? Is it virtue, cowardice, or the most refined cruelty? The answer is never simple. It lies in the tension between pride and insecurity, control and fear, hunger for status and dread of being forgotten. We help, we withhold, we posture, as if life is a stage and the script is eternally being rewritten by invisible hands. The rivals we lift up might feel gratitude or resentment. Either way, the game is set to continue, darker and deeper than most dare to admit. In the end, cooperation and competition are not opposites but co-conspirators, tangled in a web of hidden motives. Helping your rival isn't selfless. It's the most ruthless way to keep hold of your own story, even as you pretend to let it go. Remember, in the game of power, the most dangerous move is the one wrapped in kindness. The hand you shake may be the one tightening the noose.